what even is authentic love? When I say authentic love, what distinguishes that from what most of us think of as love, right? What makes it different? And what I want to say about this is that the authentic love that I'm talking about, and the reason I'm qualifying it in that way as authentic love versus just the secret to manifesting authentic love, is because there's a very distinct approach in creating this kind of love that I'm talking about, which, we could say this is true love. We could say this is real love. We could say this is the kind of love that has the potential to have the intimacy and the connection and the depth that most of us truly crave in relationship. And so what I would say about this is it is a love based in generosity. It's a love based in generosity. It's a love based in what I can give. And I'll expand on that just by saying that it is the recognition that I have something to give that others actually want, and I want to share that. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came to really understand what authentic love was for myself. I'm going to share a little bit about my own journey and my own story here. But when I was 18 years old, I was actually arrested, and I spent about 2 years in jail. And I just want to say I'm not a criminal, so I want to just preface that I'm not a criminal. But when I was young, I had a pretty traumatic upbringing, and my father and my uncles and their friends, they thought it was really fun when I was 13 years old to get me high on drugs. And, being 13 years old and my life is like total shit, and then you give me something that it makes me feel like amazing, makes it feel like everything is better instantly. It's a hard sell for a 13-year-old to not want to do that all the time. And so what I started doing was I started getting into drugs. And by the time I was 18 years old, I was pretty heavily addicted to a few different kinds of drugs. And I was involved in a bad drug deal. Things went down, police showed up. I ended up going to jail, and I was facing a pretty hefty sentence at 18 years old. And the reason I'm sharing this is because jail was one of the most profound teachers of my entire life. What happened to me when I went to jail was that my entire identity was stripped away. Everything that I had identified with in my life up to that point, everything that I had come to develop my sense of self through, all the ways that I'd come to know who I was, were basically stripped away. My friendships, my relationships, the place I lived, the hobbies, the things I enjoyed, right? Like all of it was just taken away from me in an instant, and I was left with nothing. And I remember being, in this experience of being left with nothing. And like really all there was me. When you think about like every external metric of who I thought I was, or my worth or my value, like every external metric of this was ripped away. And I was left with just myself. And, that kind of experience can really cause you to explore, who am I really, right? Like when all the external metrics have fallen away and I'm just left with me, bare bones, whatever I am, what am I and who am I? And I remember one night very specifically, I was sitting in my cell. For whatever reason, I was alone in there. I didn't have a roommate at the time. And I was sitting in my cell, and I'll never forget this night. I was sitting on the floor of my cell with my notebook, and I had this feeling in my chest, like I felt like my heart was just about to explode. And I don't even really know how else to describe it other than just to say it was like I was so full of love. It was like it was going to be bursting out of. And in that moment, I recognized that love is what I'm made out of. And I don't know how I knew this. It was coming from some kind of intuitive place inside of me that I didn't even know. But I recognized that love is what I'm made out of. And I just wanted so badly, more than anything, it was like I had finally understood what my purpose in this life was and what I was meant to do. And I felt so badly that all I want in the world is another opportunity to share that love. And I said a prayer that night. And it wasn't a long prayer, but it was just something simple. And I just said from the bottom of my heart, like, God, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you are, all I want is one more chance to share this love that's inside of me. And if you give me the opportunity to do that, I promise I will not let you down. And that was the prayer, and that was the promise I made. And something very interesting, the next day, my attorney came for a meeting with me, and she said that there had been a development in my case, and that, long story short, they were going to be able to get rid of some of the evidence, and there was a huge possibility that I was actually going to get released, which was not looking good for me. And it was still a long journey of fighting my case and everything before that actually happened, but I felt like my prayer was answered. And here I am 15 years later, sharing the love that I have to give, doing it right now. So this is me keeping that promise, and this is me honoring that gift that I've been given, that second chance that I was given. And so I want to come back to this idea of a love based in generosity, because what I've been talking about here is this feeling I had inside of my soul, this feeling that I have something to give, I have something to contribute, I have something of value, I have something I can add to the world, and it's something that others actually want, and I want to share that. And when it comes to creating love in your life, this is the energy that creates love. But when you think about it, most of us don't approach love in this way. Most of us don't sit there and go, I just have so much to give. My soul is literally bursting with the gifts that are inside of me, and I just want to share it so fully and so completely. Like, that's not where most of us come from when we go to create love in our life. But instead we come from, I'm lonely, I'm sad. Why isn't it happening for me? Why doesn't anyone like me? What's wrong with me? What's missing inside of me? We come from a conversation of lack. We come from an identity in which we feel that something is missing in us, and we think that that relationship or inviting that person into our life is going to be the missing puzzle piece that makes our life complete. This is a tragedy. It's a tragedy because that approach does not invite love into your life. It invites more lack. And so what invites love is this generosity-based approach, the recognition that I have something to give. It is something that others actually want, and I want to share that with them. This gift that is inside of my soul, this love that is inside of my soul, I want to share it. I want to express it. So today we're going to be exploring, how do we really embody that love energy that we're all made out of completely and fully? So I want to introduce you to the levels of energy chart. And some of you may have seen this before, some of you may not. But this was designed by a man named David Hawkins. He published this in his book, Power versus Force, The Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior. This chart is something that I've been working with for many years, and I found it to be one of the most profound pieces of work that I've ever come across. What David Hawkins actually did with this chart is he mapped out all the vibrational states of a human being. So from the lowest being shame, if you go any lower than shame, you're basically dead, right? If your vibration drops far below shame, you basically just die. You can't even live anymore. And then if you get, up into the enlightenment phases, at some point you just kind of pass away as well, because you're no longer really tied to this plane anymore. And everything in between is the realm of human experience. This is where all of life takes place. It takes place on a spectrum of shame to peace. And these are all the different experiences, the different vibrational states that we can embody in this human life that we have. And what I want to point out here is that, especially when it comes to finding love, although this definitely applies to many other aspects of our life as well. But when it comes to finding love, most of us find ourselves operating around this vibration of desire, right? I want something. There is something, the desire is when I say the word desire, I want to just preface this a little bit, because desire sometimes is used in a positive, empowering sense, sometimes is used in a negative, disempowering sense. Now, when it's used in a positive sense, the word desire can very much mean something similar to passion, which we're going to talk about passion today. But when it's used in a disempowering sense, it means lack, emptiness, craving. So right now we're talking about it in the disempowering sense. We're talking about it in the sense where something is missing. So the desire is, I feel incomplete. I feel lacking. I feel that something is missing in my life. And that lack, that feeling of incompleteness, is producing a desire. It's producing a craving that is making me want something more in my life. There's a feeling of emptiness that is causing me to crave something more in my life. Now, something I love about this chart is you'll realize that if you look to the right-hand side of the chart, every single vibrational state that is on this chart comes with a corresponding emotion and a corresponding life view or worldview. Right? So based on whichever vibration you are currently embodying, whether that's fear, anger, acceptance, joy, no matter what it is, whatever vibrational state you are embodying is going to produce with it a very specific emotional state and a very specific perspective of the world. So what does the world look like, right? That's your life view. So at the vibration of desire, which is when we're looking for love, this is where most of us are operating. The emotional state of desire is a feeling of craving, right? There's some emptiness that needs to be filled. There's something missing that needs to be completed. I am craving that completeness. I am craving that fullness. And the life view from this vibrational state is disappointing. So some of you might be wondering right now, I try everything. You know, I do this and I do that and I do the other thing and I turn myself inside out and I bend over backwards and I fall all over myself trying to make this work, but nothing works. Why is that? Because it doesn't matter what you do. It matters who you're being. And who you're being generates the quality and the effectiveness of what you do. So if you're running on a hamster wheel, turning yourself inside out from an experience of craving where everything looks disappointing to you, you can exhaust yourself for years and years and years over and over and over again trying to do that. But everything is going to show up disappointing and you're going to constantly feel empty and be craving more. And this is whether you're in a relationship or whether you're out of a relationship. And I mean, you know this, right? You get into a relationship, but you know, it might feel good for the first few weeks, the first few months, but then after a while, you start craving more from that relationship. That relationship doesn't meet your needs. It doesn't make you happy. It doesn't fulfill you. And you're constantly disappointed. It's not enough of this. It's not enough of that. I need more of this. I need more of that, right? From this vibrational state, that is all you can experience. This state, what I'm calling authentic love is, what I mean to say is the experience of authentic love. So the quality of connection, depth, intimacy that you want to experience in a relationship, that is manifested somewhere around this vibrational state of love. There's an emotional state of reverence. Something very similar to reverence would be, I think, gratitude or appreciation, right? But there's this experience of love, reverence, gratitude, appreciation, where you look out at the world, you look out at life, and life looks benign to you. What you see is goodness. What you see is more love around you. So this is the vibrational state at which authentic love can be created. And what I want to say is the gateway to authentic love, the gateway to this vibrational state of love is really acceptance. Acceptance, and if you look at the emotional state of corresponding to acceptance, it's forgiveness. So forgiveness is the willingness to let go of all your limiting ideas about yourself, all your limiting ideas about other people, all your limiting ideas about men or women or what's possible or what's not possible or how people are and all of this, right? Forgiveness is the willingness to release all of that, to let all of that go, to experience life as harmonious, to experience yourself as in the flow, as in tune, as in alignment with everything that's around you. Thank you so much for being here today. Wishing you so much love. If you need anything or have any questions about the program or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm happy to support in any way I can. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.